On my Goodreads, it says that I've given 62 books a 5-star rating since I've been using Goodreads, which has been about 4 years, I think. And so I wanted to rank them because some of them I kind of disagree with. And then some of them are like literal crack. They're just fantastic books and I would die to reread them. So I want to like distinguish between my 5 stars because I think there is a range. I have my computer here with a tier ranking on it, and I used the ranking that Sarah Caroli did when she did this video about a year ago. So credits to her for the tier rankings. But let's just get into it. So I have a lot of books down here, and the first one on the list is Crown of Midnight from Throne of Glass. I'm not going to be talking much about like the plots of each book. I'm just going to rate them based on vibes and let you know why. So this book is from my absolute favorite series of all time, but it is not my favorite book in that series, so I'm gonna put this in probably 6-star read, because honestly, even the worst of the Throne of Glass books are like the best of the best in my opinion of all the books I've ever read. Next is A Court of Wings and Ruin, and this one is going in valid 5-star. Really like this series by Sarah J Maas, but again, not my favorite. This is part of the ACOTAR series, by the way. It's book 3 in the ACOTAR series. Next is Heartstopper. I think this is the first Heartstopper book. I'm gonna put this in comfort books. The Heartstopper books, they're graphic novels, so like you can't really rate it based on like writing per se, but like the story is so sad and so beautiful and so heartwarming, and the graphic novel style is amazing. So I love these books and I love the show. Song of Achilles, this one, god, all the sad books, this one is so sad. This one made me legitimately sob. It was my favorite book of 2021, I think, and it's just crazy. I haven't read it since, and I think since I wouldn't put it at #1 if I read it this year, so I think I'm gonna put it in valid 5-star, but I don't think it belongs in like the 6-star and above area. Still a gorgeous book though, about Greek mythology. If you haven't read it, I definitely recommend it. Ugh, it's so sad. It's so sad, and it's so beautifully written too. Powerless by Elsie Silver, I think I'd put in, this is hard because I love this series so much, but I just don't think this was my favorite from the series, and it's also like not even comfort book level. I may put this in, I'd change my rating. Is that crazy? I feel like that's a little bit insane. I'm not trying to diss Elsie Silver, love her books, but I gave the entire Chestnut Spring series 5 stars, and there are a couple books in that series that I may lower down to like a 4.5 kind of in my head. So when I say I'd change my rating, I don't hate this book by any means. I just think that maybe it's like a 4.5 level, not 5-star. Longshot is a valid 5-star book. This is a book about domestic violence and abuse. It's also a romance book, but that is a very heavy topic in it. Kennedy Ryan just handles it so well. So hard book to read, but really solid, and I need to reread it like ASAP because it was just phenomenal. A Legend by Veronica Roth. You know, this was the old me. Okay, that's why this category is at the bottom, because some books I've read like years and years ago and I adored, but like I have to understand that years and years ago, well, okay, not that long ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm currently 18. Years ago, I was, you know, 12, 13, maybe 14. The books that I like then are not the books that I like now. So I gotta leave this, appreciate it for what it is. I would not give it 5 stars now, absolutely not, but like 13-year-old me ate this up, and so I gotta let her appreciate that. Empire of Storms, this is going right to the top. That is going straight to #1. Inject that book into my veins. I cannot express to you what that book means to me, and I am just about to reread it, so I'm so excited. I'm gonna reread it very soon because I've been doing a Sarah J Maas reread recently. This book and Queen of Shadows are the top fantasy books I've ever read ever. They are just phenomenal books, absolutely phenomenal, and I obviously feel passionately about this, so this one needs to be like in my veins immediately. All the Boys I've Loved Before, this is another one that I'm like, this was the old me, you know. Good book, decent movie, but like I don't really remember anything about the writing or anything like that, and definitely one from like my younger years. Hopeless by Elsie Silver, this was the last book in the Chestnut Spring series, and this was also one that I think is maybe closer to a 4.5, kind of like Powerless. So still phenomenal books, but just maybe not 5-star level. Divergent, once again, this was the old me. Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, this one is that I changed my rating. This one I kind of read too recently to say this was the old me. But the Blood and Ash series, #1, I don't remember anything from the 2nd or 3rd book. I remember the 1st book, but I don't remember anything from the sequels, and this is book 2 in the series. Blood and Ash could still be a really good book. Maybe I should reread it, but like from the little bits that I remember though from the 1st book and here and there in the sequels, that book was just mid. And compared to all the phenomenal books that I've read since, it's probably close to a 3.5, 4, somewhere around there, but I definitely changed my rating on that one. Forever, this is a comfort book. This is book 3 in the Shiver series, which is my favorite series from my childhood ever. I love this series so much, and they make me so happy to read, and I need to reread this one because I've reread the first 2 recently. I need to reread that 3rd one and kind of round out the entire series because no one talks about book 4. In our heads, it just doesn't exist, okay? King's Cage, honestly, and this might sound crazy, this is honestly a pretty valid 5-star. Maybe that's a little wild because I read this series years ago, and it's also very much a YA dystopian fantasy, very predictable, very simple, but like also really good. Like, I really enjoyed this series. Gave it to my sister, she enjoyed it, so I'm gonna give that as a valid 5-star. Throne of Glass is the first one. This is a 6-star read. Just like Crown of Midnight. Not my favorite from the series by any means, but it's still reigning triumphant above like anything else. It's so good. The Fault in Our Stars. This was the old me. I don't even know what to say about this book. Everyone knows this book. Sad topic. Dealt with well, I guess, but I haven't read it in years and I don't really care to. Does that mean? I don't know. It's just the old me. Linger, once again, comfort book for sure. Heartstopper, this is book 5, comfort book again. So good. 4, this is the Divergent series, so I'm gonna say this was the old me, but also I would change my rating on this. I don't know why I gave a prequel novella 5 stars. Not saying it's impossible, but like it's hard to do that. Even if I like gave all the books 5 stars now, I don't think I'd be given 4 or 5 stars. Whatever. Glass Sword, this is probably my favorite book in the Red Queen series. This is definitely a valid 5 star. Clockwork Prince. Okay, the problem with this series is I remember the series as a whole, but I don't remember the little details that distinguishes the first from the second to the third in this trilogy. So I don't know how to rate this at all because I want to reread these books and reevaluate my thoughts on them, but I've just like forgotten too much right now to really say much. So I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say this is a valid 5 star. I'm gonna be nice. It was either gonna be that or I'd change my rating, but I think I'm gonna be nice and trust that Cassandra Clare's best book she's ever written, in my opinion, will hold up to the test of time, and hopefully I can reread these soon and tell you guys my updated thoughts on this series. Insurgent, again, this is the old me. I think that's the last Divergent book on this list. Red, White, and Royal Blue, valid 5 star. This book is so funny. It's romantic and it's lovely, but it's also like hilarious to read. Tide, oh, I changed my rating for this book. This book is, I got into a Carrie and Cole thing. I read 2 of her books because I was recommended them by a booktuber. One of them is an age gap, and then the second one was like, I'm trying to remember if it was the guy or the girl. I think it was the guy. Was like a social recluse, and like she would go over to his house and like Grumpy Sunshine and something like that. I don't know. I don't care. Definitely would change my rating from a 5 star. I don't think it was near that good at all. Assassin's Blade, 6-star read. This book is so sad. It's so sad. This is the prequel for Throne of Glass. It has my baby Sam in it. I love Sam so much. And this is terribly sad. Oh my gosh. Clockwork Princess, again, I'm gonna give it the valid 5 star. Give it the benefit of the doubt. Hook, Line, and Sinker, this is a really valid 5 star. That one for sure. That one has got to be one of my top contemporary romanticist books of all time, and I don't even know why. It was just so enjoyable. This is the second book in Tessa Bailey's Bellinger Sisters series, I think it's called. The first one is, oh, what is the name of that book? I can't remember the name. I'll put it out here on the screen if I can remember. The first one was good. Second one is better in my opinion. I, for some reason, really liked that one. Scarlet, I'd say I'd change my rating. Nothing against Scarlet, but I think that this series for me, the Cinder series, although really good, was just kind of a generally 4-star level fantasy book. I also read this a couple years ago too, so I'd change my rating, but I wouldn't drop it down low. Trust me, it still is a really good series. I just don't think it's 5-star worthy. A Court of Mist and Fury, this is probably the best book from the ACOTAR series. I'd give this a 6-star rating. So good. Out of the trilogy, well, there's more than just the trilogy, I guess, but out of the 3 main books in the series, this one is my favorite. Heartstopper, again, comfort books. There are 2 of them here. Comfort. Winter is also in the Cinder series. This is going into I'd change my rating. Warstorm is probably my least favorite in the Red Queen series, so I'm gonna drop this one and I'd change my rating. Probably down to like a 4-star from a 5, but King's Cage and Glass Sword are still probably very solid 5 stars to me. Crown of Gilded Bones, this one I for sure would change my rating as well, and this one's dropping down to probably like a 3-star. This one is the 3rd book in the Blood and Ash series. The second one, Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, is right here, and I just don't remember enough, and what I do remember, it wasn't that good, so I'm just gonna leave that and I'd change my rating. Stolen Heir, this is a mafia book by Sophie Lark. Really good. It's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, kind of, but like very vaguely. I enjoyed it, but I think it's more of a 4-star rating, so once again I'm going in, I'd change my rating for that one. This is the last Heartstopper book, I think, but it's definitely going in comfort books right there. If We Were Villains, this is a 6-star read. Argue with a Wall, this book is incredibly crafted. I didn't want to talk about plot very much, but I'm just gonna say that the author uses Shakespeare not only to tell the story, but the characters in this book perform Shakespeare plays, and the way it's like completely interwoven into the story is genius. It's incredible. It's amazing. The story is amazing. It's heartbreaking. It's sad. It's beautiful. I love this book so much. Oh my goodness, it's a 6-star read. It's phenomenal. Reverence. This was the old me. This is a book in the Significant series, and I could not tell you a single thing about that series except for it's about soulmates, I think. I read it years and years ago. Although I liked the series a lot, this random novella in the middle of the series was the only one that I gave 5 stars, so that's crazy. But this was the old me. I'm gonna let her have her moment, but now I would definitely not give that as high of a rating as I did. Kingdom of Ash, this goes up into Inject This Into My Veins. This book, this absolute epic finale of the Throne of Glass series, is such a whirlwind of emotions, but it is incredible and amazing, and it needs to be injected into my soul, actually. And that's just the rule. For some reason, I have If We Were Villains on here twice. All In, I think, is a valid 5-star read. This book is the sequel to Full Tilt by Emma Scott, and I can't talk about the premise of this book because it would spoil the first one, but let me just say that this is a contemporary romance that deals with a lot of sadness and grief, but healing from sadness and grief, and it's just beautiful. Absolutely amazing book, and I need to reread that series. There's so many books in this video that I'm like, I need to reread, but it's the truth. Okay, Binding 13. I actually gave the first book in this series 4 stars, so I don't even know why it's on this list because it doesn't actually count. So we're just gonna leave that at the bottom and ignore it, along with If We Were Villains, which is here as a duplicate on accident. Dear Ava is probably a valid 5-star. This was well, it is a 5-star. I like the romance a lot in this. It's a book about a high schooler who has dealt with sexual assault, and she's getting over that, but is also trying to find a new life in a new school. A very solid contemporary romance that's very emotional and beautiful, but obviously deals with hard topics, and I love the main characters in this book. Both her and the guy character are just amazing, so valid 5-star. Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is the first book in this series, and I honestly think it is a valid 5-star read. This is amazing. So good. I love Rhett and Summer, and a great way to start an incredible series, if you ask me. Next is From Blood and Ash. This one, I think I'm also going to put into change my rating. This is the first book in the series that has Flesh and Fire and Gilded Bones in it, so I don't know. I feel like that's all like 4 and under territory, respectfully. I'm sorry, Jennifer Armentrout. It's just not my favorite thing ever. Fear the Flames, valid 5-star, and I need to reread this when it gets traditionally published, but Fear the Flames is a book by Olivia Rose Darling. Epic fantasy, so good. Highly recommend, and also great to support a small and upcoming author. Grip, I'd probably say valid 5-star. This is a book about police violence. It's also a romance, similar to Long Shot, I think. These two are very similar in that they handle dark topics, but there's also a beautiful underlying romance that like carries the plot along too, and it's just really well done. These are both by Kennedy Ryan, actually, so that makes sense why I think they're very similar, because she's really good at handling more deep topics in her romance books. Next is Heartless by Elsie Silver, and this, my friends, would be the best Elsie Silver book that I've ever read. This one is so good. I love Caden Willis so much. This, in my opinion, goes into, is it a 6-star read? Honestly, this could be a 6-star read. I think this is going up to almost the top. That's crazy, but this book is actually amazing. Heir of Fire. Now here's the thing. 2 weeks ago I would have put this into 6-star reads, but I just recently reread this book and I realized that the character development in this book is actually off the charts. It's phenomenal. So while I love this book so much and I was going to say it was a 6-star read, I think I have to put this into Inject This Into My Veins. You don't understand how solid the Throne of Glass series is. I talk about it all the time on my channel, but it's just so good. It's so well written. The characters are phenomenal. You root for them so hard. Absolutely 10 out of 10 book. Top tier for me. Keeping 13, I'd give this a valid 5-star rating. This is the second book in the Binding 13 series. I gave the first book 4 stars. The second book was definitely a 5-star, but I think the next ones, which I'll just do right now, Redeeming 6 and Saving 6 down here, are probably 6-star reads for me, which is ironic because it has 6 in the name. But Following Joy and Aoife's story was so much more heartbreaking, but also better than following Johnny and Shannon's story from the first 2 books. I love Joey so much, and he's such a broken boy, but like I know he has such a beautiful heart deep down, and Aoife is just perfect. They have their problems for sure, but like their story is just amazing and it's perfect to read. And 6 stars. Best books of the series that I've read, and I've only read the first 4, but these 2 were definitely my favorite. Next is Queen of Shadows, and once again, Inject This Into My Veins. And you may be seeing a common thread here that the top 4 are all Throne of Glass books, and I don't make the rules. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. Malibu Rising. This one, I think I'd probably change my rating. This one was really good, but I wouldn't know if it's 5-star material, and I think I maybe just gave it that rating because it was more of a literary contemporary book than like a romance book, and so I think that what I got out of it was like more deep topics and like other things going on, and I think that like boosted the book for me, so I gave it 5 stars. I think now I probably would give it 4 stars if I had to reread it, so I'm gonna keep it in this category, but it's still a really good book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Next is Manacled, and this might be the only book that goes up there in the top tier along with Throne of Glass, because this, my friends, is Hermione fan fiction. And it is my favorite standalone of all time. I've talked about these top books so much on my channel already, so I'm not going to talk about it more, but let me just say that this is so sad, so beautiful, so good. It's incredible. It's incredible. Shiver is definitely on my comfort book tier, but just so you know, these comfort books like are almost above valid 5-star reads. Like I honestly could like switch these 2 rows, because these comfort books I almost love more than the valid 5-star reads, just because they give me the feels, and anything that makes me feel emotional is like a good book. Reckless by Elsa Silver, this is my second favorite from the series, and this one has to go into valid 5-star. So good. Similar to Flawless, it's just great character growth, it's funny, found family, it's amazing. The Six Deaths of the Saint is also a valid 5-star to me. This is just an incredibly written book. It's a novella, it's only 36 pages, so it's literally so short, but the way that they tell the story is incredible. The writing style is amazing. It made me literally cry within like 36 pages, which is incredible. So valid 5-star. The writing is just amazing for that little book. Red Queen, I would probably give valid 5-star. You know, I think that these 3 books, Red Queen, King's Cage, and Glass Sword, are the best books in the series. Warstorm is down here, like I said, but it's not a terrible book. It's like really far away, but like I'd still give it like a 4, 4.5. I just think the other 3 were definitely 5-star ratings for me. Just a few more left. Next is Sea of Ruin, which is definitely a valid 5-star. This book is so good. It's so good. There's so many things happening. Plot is incredible, and it's a valid 5-star. 2 more left. Next is Fourth Wing. This is also a valid 5-star. And you know what? We're gonna round it out with Crescent City, also a valid 5-star. These last 3 books are just very good. Fourth Wing is popular but is worth the hype. Crescent City, this is the first of Sarah J Maas's last trilogy, and I gave the first one 5 stars. It was absolutely amazing. I loved it. And yeah, I honestly am very happy with these ratings. I think this is very solid. I like wholeheartedly agree with all of these choices, and yeah, this is just kind of like explaining my 5 stars. So let me know what you agree with or maybe disagree with. I don't know, we can talk about it in the comments below. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Subscribe for more book videos from me. I have some really fun vlogs coming soon that are hopefully going to add more books to this tier list, and that's gonna be it. Bye bye. I'll talk to you soon.